Sure.
Right. So good night and good day and whatever time it is, I guess those who are looking at this on YouTube. It's of course not just from the Caribbean, but we are broadcasting from Trinidad and Tobago here, and this is the IOSH Managing Safely class. Well, this class is actually a small class. It's about three persons. One of them just messaged and said that he couldn't come, but we do have our recordings, and it's sort of convenient in this day and age to sort of, get back the lesson even if you miss it anyway, right? And so on the record, now this session wouldn't be too long if it's just one person. So in the textbook, which is the IOSH Managing Safely textbook 5.0, you can get this, of course, from IOSH itself, but of course, our students would have gotten it via the school, right? So this is the original textbook. So these project forms are in the book. However, I could also send you the form. I guess once we are finished, I could send the form to every student anyway. I actually did have, I mean, those of us who work, it is a sort of a balancing act really to work whole day. And I actually just came and I actually thought I was gonna come in a bit earlier, but I had to pick up some stuff, I guess, in the supermarket and the lines wasn't nice. And literally, I probably came in here about maybe 10 minutes ago, just had some coffee, right? For now anyway, right? So the project forms are on page 42, 43. You have your book, right? 42, 43. But it's the same form as I'm actually looking at it. And if you have yours, we could walk through this project anyway, right? So I guess the place to start is at the top. So I could use this form right here. I just have to kind of get it a bit bigger. And we could actually use the same form as a sort of template anyway, right? Let me just get the magnifying to be up a bit, right? So, of course, to pass the IOSH Managing Safety course, you have to undertake an assessment and you have to pass the project at the same time, right? So, I guess before we look at it, let me just give you an overview. It's just four hazards. If you have the 42, 43 pages, you'll see it at this page 42, 43, that is. It's just a space of four hazards. And with each of them, you're going to say what is the hazard, who might be harmed, how might people be harmed, the existing risk controls, what is the likelihood on a scale of 1 to 5, what is the severity or consequences on a scale of 1 to 5. And we have, if the risk is high, which it would most likely be, because these that you're going to choose are going to be like the worst of hazards then, right? We're going to put in some further controls. With the further controls, you're going to work over the risk numbers. They should go down. And then you say action by whom and action by when, right? And you have four of that to do. How these are marked? It's actually 1 mark for each correct column. So this is 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks. This is checked as 5 marks, 6 marks, 7 marks, 8 marks, 9 marks, as far as I remember. So 9 4 is 36. Then you get a mark for filling out the top, right? The top up here where we were at. The Zumba is in the space of that, right? So you get a mark for filling out the top of it. And then you get a mark for filling out the bottom of it. I think the total marks is roughly around 38. So if you get 38 out of 38, that translates to be 100% anyway, right? Um, let's make a start, right? So the name of the assessor, this will have to be your name. So you can put in your name here as we just have Jeremy on this live, right? We'll put in Jeremy Patram. And you could of course type it. The date, well, we're gonna have to set our date for the exam, right? But let me laser the other two guys and see. We could probably have a change to the current date we have on the system. I'll have to check and see, right? So let's say 7 and 7. So let's say it's the 14th, which is next week, the 14th of November. Because I don't really want to wrap this up. You all know I actually just came back to Trinidad again. I go and come, but this all depends on the work. I have some commitments in Guyana and whatever have you. Sometimes a company will call. This one is just like that. A weird one I had to just run across on one day. and come back. I came back last night anyway. But I do have some of that plan. I have one in November. I have one in December plan anyway too. So while I'm here, then I'm here. I'm here. I can foresee I'm here next week, the other week. I think we should wrap up. What was on the schedule and then wrap up the course, right? Anytime will do. There's no special you know. I guess you could put it in 24 hours if you wanted to, like the 24-hour clock, 15, 16, 17, maybe 1800 hours. I mean, it's not that you had to be that precise. But like those things are given your name, the date, the time exactly, more or less free there, like a feed in frenzy, then you can put anything there, right? So with the work area though, you want to think of a work area. Probably I know Jeremy work and I know the other guys work as well, but like Lee, right? Lee's one of the other students. Like you want to put a work area that you could probably get about 3 areas in, right? So I would just go with we just probably say like Massy. Massy is a big, supermarket on the island here. So Massy, superstore. And what do you want to kind of put there, right? Massy superstore. You kind of want to give some places inside there, right? So you probably want to say like the Loading Bay. And please don't take this one. Anybody who's looking at this, don't take this one. You can make up your own, right? So the Loading Bay, um, I guess the warehouse, right? And probably like an office area. You can take something else, you can take like the cashier area, whatever have you, right? So the task being assessed will have to be linked to this. You can probably put, like loading and offloading goods for packaging and sale or distribution to customers, right? So if I get into that thus far. It could be more seen on another line there. You could probably, this also includes like the more you can give them, the better. Administrative, I think that's the end of the line, is it? Um, admin, uh, you can help me with this too in Jeremy, right? This I'm doing this for you anyway. So admin, filing, whatever. We have to kind of be more precise with it, right? So admin filing of invoices or something like that, right? So the more you can describe it, the better it will be for the
Yeah.
examiner in the UK, right? So you see what kind of break it down. You try to describe what is taking place. Instead of saying admin alone, I had to think about like what I wanted to focus on. So is is it typing operations or documentation preparation? But I put filing of invoices or whatever, right? So that may include some of the same thing there anyway, right? So what is the hazard? We have to pick like four. Now the hazards have to come from these areas here, right? So we're gonna get a hazard from your work areas. If you choose a welding shop, again, it could have a welding B. You could have like where the metal is prep, right? So like the workshop B
Yeah, well,
or
we'll
benches.
actually deal with welding and stuff.
Mhm. So you could go like with the welding, like okay, like where the welding is taking place then. So at the welder's workstation, the preparation shop where the metal is probably sand down or grinded down. And then maybe what happens is when you finish with it, like maybe is it painted? So you may want to think about maybe it goes to the painter or to the paint spraying booth where it is given a coat of paint, prime and whatever, and then probably paint it again and then put on as a warehouse area for sale or for customers or clients, right? So whatever you say, then you have to be able to describe it in a way that someone not here, then remember these people are going to England, right? Someone not here can actually understand what you're looking at. And then the hazards now must come from there. So if we go with the loaded bay, we can probably look at probably maybe a hazard is manual handling, right? And you can describe it, from workers lifting and lowering when the L come out, lowering boxes and goods items from delivery vehicles, right? So think again at it's not
Yeah.
just to say manual handling or fire. You have to say where the fire coming from. If it's in the welding shop or the painter, if it's like like paint mist or chemical. You have to say, okay, like the worker is exposed like the paint mist from the fact that the paste spraying area might not have any extraction fans, or it may just be in the open and the worker is not even wearing proper PPE, right? Who could be harmed? You could actually give
Sound
some
just like my work.
workers. Say it again.
Sound just like my work too.
Yeah,
My
yeah, yeah,
workplace.
yeah. So who might be harmed? You could probably give this
Yeah. Yeah.
like some names, some warehouse attendant. So I don't know if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. I'll load this up tonight. You'll see it. I'm gonna put it on the YouTube channel tonight. In about 8 o'clock time, if we finish 7:30, by 8 o'clock, I'll put it up. It's a warehouse attendant.
Okay.
We could and so you have a chance to look it over then, and so does the world. I don't think I've seen anybody done it like this. That is a really good one. I'll have to direct people in the future to go back to this one. So warehouse attendant, I could probably say maybe a health and safety person if they are there, health and safety. But the thing is, they were not really lifting anything, right? But maybe something could have fallen on them. Health and safety technician, maybe a contractor, right? I mean,
Mhm.
not that they have to be, but I'm trying to show that there could be a diverse range of people there,
Yeah.
no arrangement of people.
Drivers.
Yeah, drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if something did fall, lifting and lowering the heavy boxes. So drivers is a good one, right? Good. So how might people be harmed, or how might these people
Mm.
be harmed? So you could say like a heavy box may become unstable and its contents can fall onto nearby people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be better than that, to be honest. This is unstable. Is it spelled correct? I should put up my glasses. Stable looks correct to me. All right. I was thinking of an easier one, to be honest, but it looked like I went on the thought pattern of choosing a hard one. Because I could have just gone with like who might be harmed. So like the warehouse attendant, I could still put here like warehouse attendants um can be harmed. Yeah, so typing is not my strong point, right? So can be harmed from lifting heavy items and may suffer back strain,
Back injury. Whatnot.
yeah, pain,
Mm-hmm.
I put as go as fast to put and slip disc, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I really should put on my glasses then. But it's difficult to talk and type at the same time because normally the human mind could just do one at a time. So I'm actually making it up to it. I'm not really reading this from anywhere. So um,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know what happened to this one. All right. So back strain. Oh, it didn't take anything else. Okay, so I think it's a limited number of space. When you see it stop, you can stop right there. So existing risk control measures in place. This is like what you have in place. So uh you can say Massey Stores, all right, has had training upon the employees joining the company. We could
Mm-hmm.
probably say that workers are given a um a weight belt, right? A weight belt. Now those things are not
So you
very
can
good,
you
but
can put
it's
like forklift and trolley jacks and
no, because remember it's manual handling.
like trolley jacks.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
manual handling. Manual handling
Ah, well,
is
like
what
trolley
you
jacks,
use.
I guess that is still hand.
No, that's not manual handling. Manual handling is strictly the use of your hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Anytime you use, so what you'll put here now, that will come here, the additional
Strictly. Okay.
controls, right? But like when you say manual handling is like just moving things with your hand.
Yeah.
But because if it have back injuries, we could recommend here. So that's what the additional controls is for.
Okay.
So we can say how likely is
Okay.
the hazard going to be realized? Now you have this on page 36 of the textbook. These are a range of likelihood, from 1 to 5, very likely would be 5. 1 is very unlikely. 2 is unlikely. 3 is fairly likely. 4 is likely. 5 is very likely. So I'll just go with 4 because it's something we are 4. The consequences too is also on that page 36. So if we talk about back injury and stuff, right, the consequences could be things like we have 1 insignificant, 2 minor, 3 moderate, 4 major, 5 catastrophic. So I'll probably go with a 4 again. So 4 by 4. And this will give my overall rating. You have 16. 16 falls on page 37, right? So if anyone is looking at this on, the YouTube or whatever, the World Wide Web, and there's a textbook for the course. So all of our students that have gotten the book, right? And so you could get them at I don't know if they're available. You could buy them from IOSH. Oh yes, IOSH has a store. You could actually buy them directly, even if you're not doing the course, right? So 4 by 4 will give us 16, and 16, which is here, falls as urgent action. If you look at that there, 16 falls, 15 to 16 urgent action. So we need to take action there, right? And that is what the further column is for. So we could recommend things here. We could recommend a couple of further action. We could recommend things like you did mention the mechanical aid, like a trolley jack, right? To help out those workers. We could probably mention here some training in proper manual handling techniques. Yeah. Anything else on your end?
No,
Um,
I good.
it have
It
more in
seemed
it. It
good
could
so
have
far.
things in it like um like heavy items can be lifted by a team, right? Or a second person then, right? A team of two, right? If that
Mm-hmm.
constitutes a team, right? And then so if you recommend those things, you go and you work over the risk again. So with the mechanical aid, because we did say lifting the boxes, right? So with the two persons lifting, the likelihood now may go down, right? So we said 4 before. Wait until it's settled up, right? So maybe they say there's 1 in a 10,000 chance. Maybe we could go with fairly likely 3, right? Now we are using a mechanical aid, but we didn't say what it was because if it was like a high up as opposed to a trolley jack, the high would have lifted the thing for us then and put it onto the crate. But we didn't say that. We say a mechanical aid such as a trolley jack, right? But probably better answers would have been like a lever,
Mm-hmm.
um, a high up, a chain with some kind of lifting mechanism then, right? So we could go with a tree. We still using a trolley jack, so they still
Yeah.
have to push it. So it wouldn't go down to 1, but maybe because of the trolley jack, if they don't overpack it and whatever, right? The consequences could probably be maybe a 3 as well, right? So 3 by 3 give us 9. Now 9 is much better
They will
than
go down to one if we
16.
did do something like a higher.
Well, it might. It might. I mean, if it was mechanically controlled with a lever, So then all the operators would have had to do is to put some kind of sling around
Mhm.
the crates or the boxes, lift it to the higher, put it down, onto maybe a pallet jack now. And then from there, they could probably just, you may still have some pulling though, because if it's a pallet jack. But if it's now lifted with, so it all depends on what you put as the additional controls. But if you lift it with a higher and then carry it with a forklift, then you kind of, and then the forklift packs it for you, but then it may come down to one.
Correct.
You understand? But we
Eliminate.
didn't say that, yeah. Like the more reality controls you put, the better. You often have to
Yeah, yeah.
remember too that controls is actually like cost.
Mhm.
So if you get a high hub, there's something called an overhead gantry crane. Him just set that up great, but those things may come at a cost, right? Anyway, so I'm trying to be as economical as possible. 3 by 3 will give us 9. And 9, of course, is much better than 16. So we were in 16 before, which would have been urgent action. Now we are 9. And 9 just kind of says to take action, improve within a specified time scale. But you realize it's not red anymore, right? The higher numbers would have been red or red-ish. But we in the yellow there with the 9, and that may just, is it? Yeah, we in the yellow with the 9, right? And we still in the lower end of the yellow because the range here ranges from 8 to 12, right? So 12 would have been the higher part of that scale, but 9 is just after 8, right? So this is kind of livable. It's not perfect, but that's how life is sometimes in terms of health and safety. So probably put who some monitor this, the health and safety manager. They did say action to take, so maybe we could look at this within maybe 1 to 2 weeks and see if it's working out. If it's not, we can probably do over the assessment. Just saying in reality, not for exam. Like in reality, they would have done it over maybe do recommend like a further control, right? If the workers are still straining, and I think they would be because, we're using a trolley jack, but probably that's what the company could afford, right? So I was trying to be reasonable there in terms of what the law requires, right? So what you'll have to do is do that, what I did there, three
Yeah.
other times. So I'm not going to do another one. I just did one complete one, right? So you could choose another hazard. Um, Again, remember the hazards coming from here. So maybe I could ask you and those of us who may be viewing on, like
Yeah,
maybe, and you
from
can
one
put it
like
in
the
the
admin
comments.
room or something.
Yeah, like the comments on YouTube, we see it and we could respond to it, right? So we could get one in the warehouse, maybe thinking of a good one. In the warehouse where it's being stored, maybe work at height. That can be a good one, working at height. In the admin, we can probably get slips and trips, right? In the admin, we can probably even get things like hazardous substance. Like what was being carried in? Is it dishwashing liquid? Is it, like disinfectant, right? So I just put them here, but I mean, like you could use your own. This would be working at height, and you just have to say how and where because stuff would be stored in the warehouse, right? So that one there was for the warehouse. This one here, I'll probably go with, and then of course you kind of develop it right? As we go along, slips and trips. And then this one here may have been hazardous substance, right? If you have any doubt, well, again, for those of us who are actually in this course, there is a textbook. And again, you could source it on the IOSH page. You could just, IOSH is a shop facility. You could just buy it if anybody's looking on. And the hazard chapter is chapter 5. So if you're looking at like where did I get those names from? Like how do I know to call it that? The hazards chapter was chapter 5. So you could go through the book and see like what hazards, like even stress, they have stress as a hazard here. I just came across that. The hazards list is actually in alphabetical order. Manual handling is in it, noise is in it, lighting, right? So that's where the hazards are coming from. They're coming from your textbook. Height, working at height is there as well, right? So, you can take them from there. So even for you, Jeremy, like when you do it, you look through chapter 5 and see which hazards you think would be good for you anyway, right? Let me see. So the last piece of this, you put a review date. Now, normally by law, risk assessments are reviewed annually. Well, at least here in the region, right? Most of the OSHA said that, but in the UK they don't really say annually. They say regularly. But most people still interpret that to be most people still interpret that to be um annually, right? So if today is the 7th of the 11th, 2024, wherever this makes it back to YouTube, but whatever day or time or year you all are seeing it in, right? You put like a year from now, right? Or whatever is your year. So the 6th of November. And for us, a year from now will be 2025. Hopefully, we're still around, right? You would sign here, but you could probably just use a digital signature if you want. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be Jeremy, right? So Jeremy Patram, and you could, of course, if you print it when you finish with it, you could, of course, send it in to us, right? We'd have a little review of it. Trading provider name in this case, it will be Shadrack Safety Institute Company Limited, right? And if you are doing this with another approved provider, just put their name there. Worldwide, I mean, I think Jeremy and everybody knows that this is a course around the world. This is not just in Trinidad. It's a course in the UK, and we are just one of many voices. Actually, we are the main one in the region here in the Caribbean. But wherever it have providers all over online, it have providers all over the world. So whoever is your provider, you put their name there and that's it. That should be it. You could just do a dry run with it and, of course, have your provider look at it. We do not market, so we can't really guarantee that it's going to be that perfect, but we can correct things in it. If we see things in like 3 by 3 is 6, we could correct that. We could recommend that you explain some things a bit more. And this is kind of on the fly here, kind of on the live. So I could have actually done this better than this, but I think it's sufficient on the lower level of being sufficient. But I think this is good. The length of this is good. If I had more time, I would have gone into this a bit more, because it's an exam you're doing anyway, and you're more or less going to submit that to the provider, and then we send it to the UK anyway. Right, Jeremy, tell me if you have any questions. If you don't have any, I would move to finish the class because there's nobody else, and this is the only thing we had to do again, right? It just took us about half an hour, which means it will be easier for people to view on YouTube as well. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, good. Let me stop the recording and at least